Claudia, and welcome to Take a Moment to pause with purpose. And the does represent the new topic that I bring to you each and every week that I hope will inspire and encourage you to pause for a moment, think about what I'm saying, and maybe be provoked to tweak perspective just a little bit, because sometimes the slightest change can have long-lasting impact. Each week I come to you completely dependent on the Lord. It's been going on like that for a while, over a year now. And it's been interesting. I've settled into it at this point, which is good, which means I'm trusting him more. And I think that's been the whole modus operandi by the Holy Spirit for all of this, is to get me to be trusting the Lord more and more. And it may seem silly, but it's been a challenge for me in that area. So because I've always been like a type A personality and I have to plan everything ahead, just jumping off the cliff and into the arms of the Lord and just showing up and waiting for him to show up and show off is a big deal for me. So, but it's working. I just show up. He shows up, gives me a topic, and I pray that it blesses you each week. You can find me on my YouTube channel, Take a Moment to pause with purpose, and on my podcast stations, such as Apple and Spotify, Take a Moment to pause with purpose. And I would love it if you would like, subscribe, and share. That would help grow the channel and get more viewers. That would be lovely, especially the sharing. And also, please feel free to comment. I'm enjoying the dialogue back and forth, and I just enjoy connecting with you. So, thank you. This week is take a moment to stay with your dream. I think I'm on a theme the last couple of weeks, and probably because what I've been going through myself, which is basically makes a lot of sense. But if I'm going through it, I bring it to you. So, staying with your dream. I think especially when you're believing for something and you have a dream for something, and it's been a long time, years. For me, oh my goodness, but as an actress, it's been over 25 years now. Whoa, that's a rude awakening. But I've had to stay with it because it's been so much a part of my DNA. Yeah, I've mentioned that. Yeah, there are times I wanted to quit. I actually mentioned it last week because it's been a long time. It's been a long time. But to God, it's not a long time. To him, a day is like 1,000 years. 1,000 years is like a day. But for me, for us, it feels like an eternity. And what can happen, we can get, as I said before, we can get discouraged. But what I've found is that I've gotten my hands into a lot of pies. So distraction can come in, like, having to earn an income, that's a big deal. So there are things I've taken on, like the being a health coach. That does take a lot of my time, and it's very rewarding. I love it, but it pulls me away from acting and going after that. So thankfully, I've been very gifted in time management. So I'm able to um, literally shift and make things happen in a timely manner without getting too stressed out. This has been years coming. It wasn't like this happened overnight. For example, last week I had a lot of stuff going on, and then I got an audition. So I needed to have it in by Tuesday. And I didn't need a reader for this one. I was able to do it on my own, but I had to make some executive decisions with it. But I had to stop everything and and take time to do it. Now, this is not something I just do. It's I have to. Thankfully, I have an area in my home where I've got my umbrella lights set up. I've got my backdrop set up to have the audition, so I don't have to be setting things up. But sometimes they ask what's called a full body shot, which is mean I have to get a shot on a landscape with my whole body in it. And it can be very challenging when I'm by myself because I become microscopic. I have to stand far away. I've got to move the lights. I've got to set the cameras up. So I'm like production design assistant. I'm the producer. I'm the actress. I'm the lighting person. It's everything. And it's time consuming. So it can get a little frustrating sometimes. I was grateful to have the audition. And it was an executive decision for me. And this is, as I said, I've been holding on to my dream for a long time. But one of the things that I've come into is my own, and I've come into myself. And I never got an audition for this particular show before. And I was, yay, it's for a show, a real network show. I was very excited. And I got one look at the side, my line, and the F-bomb was right up top. Well, I've made a decision in my life that I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to use the profanity like that, especially it's so gratuitous and I don't see any reason for it. I really don't. But I had to make a decision. And, it's like you're waiting for your dream. You do what you got to do. You get the distractions and then finally something, yeah, it's a part of my dream. I'm going to rein myself back in. Okay, fine. But what I needed to do, I wasn't gonna do it. I wasn't gonna do the F-bomb. I just wasn't gonna do it. So I had a choice to make. I could either turn the audition down and do it and make it my own. Now, that's the tricky part because, if especially if it's a comedy, they like the lines to be as written. But I talked to some friends in the industry and they said, Claudia, just go for it. Make it your own. So I had my reasoning was that I'll do that. I'll make it my own. And three things are going to happen. One, they'll go, well, she didn't do it, so no, we're not going to consider her. Two, it's like, oh, that's funny and interesting. Or three, well, she's not right for this, but we'll think about it for another role. So no, I can't lose. Okay. So I did it, and it felt so good to be doing this and staying with my dream because with all the other distractions, with doing the business, I do the podcast, I do writing, I do other things, help my clients, I do all kinds of stuff. But my main focus for coming out to Los Angeles was acting. And as I said, it's been 25 years. Oh gosh, I'm getting emotional. What else is new? But just to prepare to make the decision that I had to make. It was okay. I didn't get it. That's okay, no problem. But I did it, but I stayed true to myself. Now, when you're going after your dream, no matter what it is, mine, as I said, is acting. I made a decision a long time ago that I was going to stay true to me, and come into a place that I'm so confident in myself and who I am and whose I am. I'm the Lord's, and I need to not compromise in this area. So as much as I wanted that part, as much as I wanted to do it, I needed to stay true to myself. Was it disappointing? Of course, but but what's more important to me is not compromising on who I am. So I'm going after the dream, but there are caveats. And I can't compromise something just because I want the job. I can't do it. It's compromising myself. It's compromising who I am in the Lord. And I won't go there. I've made that decision. I made it a long time ago. It wasn't just for this role. I've turned down many auditions because when I got the script, it was like, no, okay, no biggie. But then I got the whole script. I got what's called the sides, which is just my part for a small role to see how I do. And then I got the whole script, and it's like, oh, are you kidding me? It was like one curse after another, F-bomb, 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 F. I was like, why? I just don't understand why. And that's a stand I've taken because literacy is a platform that I have. And I believe in using words in the dictionary that help us express ourselves. There are so many of them. So even though I made the decision and my gut knew I wasn't going to get it, it's okay. But I was going after my dream. I was staying with my dream. And then I had to go off and do something else. So, but as I say when I talk to you guys, it's like there are twists and turns, and I have another dream now. It's to help people with the metabolic coaching, help people get healthy. So, I have to shift back and forth, and I've got my writing. But the thing is not to get so distracted that I let go of the dream, or you let go of the dream. There's a scripture, I believe it's Psalm 37:4. Delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. Now, I stand on that. God promised he gave this desire in me. It doesn't go away. When there were times I was ready to quit, it was like that little kernel in me that wouldn't die. It wouldn't die. And even if I go to a movie, it's like I want to be on that screen, it's like it's my heart. It's what my passion is. Ah, gosh. So I guess it's very real because I'm filling up with tears. So I'm staying with my dream. I'm encouraging you to do that. And sometimes we just have to be small with it. If we don't have the time, we can start out as a hobby and just do what we love. And it brings us so much joy, to do what's in our hearts. Because if we walk away completely, I don't um, suggest that. Sometimes life happens and we have to walk away, and there are things we need to do. Now, I know, I've spent so many years in corporate America. I was doing it because it was about what I was supposed to do, but I wasn't happy. And I think one of the most rewarding things I ever did as an actress, oh goodness, sometimes you got to create your own content because, opportunities are few and far between, and I'm not going to sit home twiddling my thumbs. So I wrote, produced, and performed in my one-woman show. And it was a lot of work. I mean, it was a lot of work. It was a year in writing it and then getting coaching on it and then creating it, producing it. And then the nerves were happening as far as anybody going to come, the expense of it. But the interesting part, the first time I did the show was 2017, 2 weeks before I was to launch the show and premiere it. I found out I had cancer. And I was facing surgery. So talk about a distraction. But I prayed, I had my emotional moment because I tell you, you hear that word cancer and it is mind-blowing. And it's like the world just stops and everything goes into slow motion. And it's just, did I hear this right? And you have to dig deep and regroup. And it's like you got to deal with what you got to deal with. But when I talked to the doctor, and I said, I have a show that I'm about to launch. And she said, how long is it? And I said, it's going to be one night, but I'm in a festival. And she said, oh, you'll be able to do it. It'll take a while before we get insurance and all of that. So here I am trying to prepare for this one woman show, just me. It wound up to be, it's supposed to be 70 minutes, but with all the laughter and everything, it wound up being 95 minutes. And I cried out to the Lord because I've been through so much physical stuff. And I just felt the Lord speak to my spirit. And he said, just have a blast. You're dealing with cancer. This is nothing. Okay. So I needed to stay with my dream. And I learned something about myself. I was backstage and I thought, I see people, they always have headphones on. They're listening to music. They got to divorce themselves from everything that's going on. They don't need this distraction. But me, I was like this little chatty Cathy with my technical guy, my technical director. And I was fine. I just needed to chat. And then I told him to turn on the sound because I wanted to hear the people coming into the theater and the chatter and everything. It was like adrenaline for me. And But then when I was 10 minutes out from going out on stage, that's when I realized I needed to shut down. I stretched, I got in my zone, and I was ready to rock and roll. And I got to tell you, cancer played no part in my mind. It played no part in that evening. I had a blast. I literally just delved into it. I just enjoyed every moment. And I did 40 characters in that show. Then when I brought it back, I made it 41. And then when I brought it back, I'll get into that. I'm taking a moment here. Getting ahead of myself. But people were just wanting to speak with me afterwards and hugging me and nobody knew what I was dealing with because there was my personal journey and what I had to go through. So thankfully, went through the cancer surgery and they got everything. So thankfully it was stage one. So I didn't have to go through chemo or radiation. So that was a blessing, a monumental blessing. But as I'm recuperating in the 6 to 7 weeks to recuperate, I sensed I was to bring my show back for a run at the theater and for 7 weeks. And here I am. I can't even sit, and I'm not even healed yet. I'm making this major commitment to do this, but I just sensed the Lord was going to be with me because what I wanted to get reviewed for this. I wanted to reach out for and I hired a publicist, and he reached out to reviewers and stuff like that. And I was fine for 7 weeks. I had the time of my life. And even though the theater wasn't fully full every time because it was 7 weeks, it was rewarding. I had Q&As and just chatted with people. It was my story. The show was called It's Only Lipstick, and based on the fact that I spent 23 years in corporate. And when 9/11 hit and I realized life was too short, it's like, it's only lipstick. And I walked out. So that was my show. It's only lipstick. And I held on to my dream. I stayed with my dream with it because from my childhood when it was born in me to going through school and work and corporate and going all of that and focusing on things that distracted me and took me away from the dream that I buried it. I didn't even know it was there anymore until after 9/11. Then it resurfaced and came to the top. And I think of Abraham and Sarah that they wanted a child, but they wanted children, but Sarah was barren and she could not have children. But God, and God promised Abraham, he said, you will be the father of nations. And he changed Abram's name to Abraham, where he breathed the huh into his name, which is the life of God. And they waited 25 years for that dream to come to pass. And they got a little antsy with the waiting, which I can attest to. 25 years is a long time to be waiting. So, you try to do things on your own. You try to make it happen by yourself when you leave God out of it. I've been there so many times. And guess what? It doesn't work out. So, Sarah gets this bright idea that Abraham should be with their maid, Hagar, to have the child. And sure, she gets pregnant. She has Ishmael. And that was not the promised child. So wound up being a lot of tension in the household between Sarah and Hagar, and they kicked Hagar out with the child. And 25 years later, Abraham was 100 and Sarah was 90, and God's miracle, she became pregnant. And after 25 years, they had the promised child, and he would be the father of nations. And he stayed with the dream, even though there were some ups and downs and some doubt and not believing and distractions and all that wonderful stuff. But God was faithful, and he told him. So for 25 years, when he changed Abram's name to Abraham, for 25 years, he heard Father of Nations, Father of Nations, Father of Nations. And so we've got to remind ourselves of the dream that's in us so that we can stay with it and not walk away. Um, this is really hitting me. Wow. Sorry. A little dead air time here. Uh, when God gives you that dream, it's so real. It's so real. You can taste it. And even that audition that I had with one line, it was everything to me because I was living it. I was in the moment. I was in my dream. And that gave me so much joy. And I know it's possible. I know it's possible. And, people go, oh, it's just one line, but I prepare for that one line is the same way I would prepare for a very large script or a large role. It doesn't matter. It is who I am. It's what I want to do. And I'm not going to take it lightly. I'm going to give it my all, no matter what it is. Because you don't treat your dream cavalierly. You don't treat it lightly. You grab hold of it. You give it everything you've got. Oh my goodness. Oh my, I should have had a box of tissues here. So, sometimes it takes a long time, as they said, for a dream to come to pass. But stay with it. Stay with your dream. It's part of your DNA. It's part of my DNA. And I'm so grateful that I found myself. I know who I am. And I've lived through the roller coaster ride of wanting to quit all the distractions, you know, and this wanting to walk away as well. I did not create an Ishmael. I didn't do that because I've always prayed to the Lord, give me my Isaac, Lord. I want my Isaac. And also, when Isaac was older, the Lord told Abraham to bring I- uh, um, Isaac to the top of the mountain and kill him, sacrifice him. It was interesting because he knew what he knew what the Lord told him to do. But when his servant said something, Abraham said, I'm kind of botching this up, I'm sorry. Abraham said, we will return. They were going up alone. There were no witnesses, but he said he had that dream in him. He was so sure of what God's promised him. And he said, we will return. So even though they went to the top of the mountain and Isaac was ready to be sacrificed by his father unto the Lord, the ram was found in the thicket. That became the sacrifice, the ram representing Jesus Christ, the sacrificial lamb. And they did return together. So I encourage you, take a moment to stay with your dream.